What is up, guys? Coop here, and today we're going to be talking about the next World of Warcraft expansion, Battle for Azeroth. Specifically, we're going to be looking at dungeons today. So, they haven't given us too many details about dungeons, sadly. They just kind of gave us only two and a variety of the names of the other ones, but it's still interesting to dive in nonetheless, so let's actually dive in. So, the first one they described is Freehold. Freehold is located in the Tiersguard Sound, and it's sprawling with outlaws and pretty much pirates and that type of thing, which goes along with, if you guys watch my zone video, they had some issues with pirates. So it seems like this will be a faction that we're going to bump heads with a lot, and then we're just going to have to go in and just wipe them out and get back all that sweet, sweet loot that they stole. So they got a little bit of different characters here. You got the human model, you got like a guy with a scar on his face, which is kind of cool, a little obese model. I'm hoping that they can add a variety of different human models to us, because you know, we don't have exactly an obese or a very stocky build for our player models, but you never know. And then they added a new sort of character model. It's based off of the goblin one, but it's like a half human goblin looking dude. Maybe he's just supposed to be a obese, like, sort of human, but it's very interesting nonetheless to look at that. It's the minor things that lead up to bigger things that is more important. But he seems to be like the head guy in charge. And if we actually look at a view of the dungeon, which I have here, it's basically kind of like a rundown sort of very foggy red area and like sort of these like mountainous regions, which is kind of weird. There's a bunch of like ships and stuff in there, so maybe there was like a drought or something. It's very curious because there's like small puddles around the area, and there's like a lot of ships that are just laying out and about, which makes no sense because, well, there's no like sort of water-based anything anywhere. And there's a lot of different guards. There's some ogres. Looks like there's some Vicruel. And then in the back you can see the main guy, and he has like a bunch of gold. I apologize for the pictures looking very foggy. I tried my best to like make them look good, but there really wasn't any way of doing it with the virtual ticket, and even on YouTube and even on MMO Champion. But I'm doing the best I can. The next one is for the Horde, their first dungeon, which is Altar Dazar, which I think is, I'm pronouncing it right, but it's kind of a cool name, like Altar Dazar. It's located in Zandalar, and it's the golden tomb of the Zandalar kings, and it's nestled in the mountains. Now there's a lot of very cool sort of models and things in this, but we're going to be doing a discussion about all the different sort of enemies and enemy types in a different video. I just want to kind of have them all together into one separate video, just to make it easier, and we can kind of analyze them. But basically, this is sort of a undead sort of tomb area that they put all the kings and things. There's a lot of different dinosaurs, like undead dinosaurs and trolls. However, something is going wrong. I think it goes along with whatever the theme of Zandalar is, where there's like a lot of undead sort of coming back from the grave, a lot of curses on these dark lands. I'm assuming old gods or Dark Loa, so that should be really interesting to dive in and look at. So, very curious to see about this zone, but let's actually look at it, because it is massive looking. It is beautiful. It has very much that Zandalar sort of aesthetic, and it's very cool to look at Zandalar aesthetic, because the only time we actually got to look at a Zandalar aesthetic was in Throne of Thunder, which was kind of mixed with Mogu. It had like this weird like mixture of the two. So it's very cool to actually see it in a non like dark and stormy area. So I'm very curious to see about this zone. This zone had a lot of really cool screenshots with it. However, they were really foggy, so I'm going to wait a little bit before I actually show everybody all the other stuff. But we're going to dive into definitely some of the character models I saw in this and some of the themes in there, because there's definitely some speculation that can be brought out from this. Now let's actually talk about the last thing. They showed us a list of all the different dungeons and whatnot, and kind of described a little bit of what some of them were, but most of them they just said, yep, these are going to be kind of the new patches or whatnot, and that's pretty much it. So there are some names on there that you guys might notice, but for example, Tol Dagar was never talked about before, but I think that Tol Dagar is going to be kind of like a prison or like some sort of keep or something like that, something of that nature. Waycrest Manor. Waycrest Manor is actually interesting because if you guys looked at my zone video, the Waycrest sort of royalty has been kind of missing on a lot of the political matters, and the land is sort of cursed. So maybe Waycrest Manor is kind of like this dark and stormy sort of, I would say like evil horror type of zone, which will be really cool. I'm hoping that they can make that place as scary as possible. I want some like Duskwood level stuff there. Shrine of the Storm, I'm pretty sure is going to be an Azara themed sort of dungeon. They have now announced that Azara will be faced off against by the time this expansion's over. So Azara seems like she's going to be playing like sort of her part, because you know we're building all these ships and then we're going to be going into her lands. We're not going into each other's lands. We're going into like her sea. She is like the queen of the sea. So I think Shrine of the Storm is going to be that. Not too sure though. Now the next one that's really interesting is the Siege of Borealis. This one's interesting because Borealis is actually, if I read off this, is Keltaros' capital. It lies on the island's west coast. The city population is dwindled since Jaina's and Dwalian's exodus. Many of the housing and surrounding families lie empty. Currently, the city's population stands at 4,000 heads. So, basically, this kind of used to be where, basically the capital used to be. So, I'm not sure if this is the capital now, or if this is the old capital. But basically, from what it says, is that there's a secret society, was eerily quiet, and it's friendly enough to harbor, but it has a lot of like dark stuff inside. Which is basically what it says off of Wikipedia. Now keep in mind, this is from the RPG. The RPG is no longer considered canon, but this used to be Keltaros' sort of capital. So if it stands like that now, it's very curious, because are we going to have siege the capital from Jaina's mother? It just brings up a bunch of stuff, because Jaina did kill her father, so it makes sense that maybe we're going in there and sort of marching right in and all that. So my reactions are just going all over the place. Now the next one is the Temple of Sephirelis. I'm so bad at names, I apologize, but basically this seems like a sort of Cthulhian sort of temple type of thing. I feel like spoilers, just gonna say it right now, so spoiler. If you don't want to know what happens after the Antorus raid, please stop the video now. Basically, Syphilis gets stabbed by Sargeras' sword, which causes all this Azerite to kind of pop up, which is Azerite is like the pure blood of a Titan, which I don't know if you guys know, but the blood of the Titan literally made the Well of Eternity. So this blood is very important. So I'm assuming that maybe this temple is kind of popped up or been found underneath where Sargeras stabbed his sword. So that's very important to look at. And it could bring like a little bit of a different aesthetic. Because you gotta keep in mind, we can't have a bunch of human pirate dungeons and Azara dungeons and whatnot. You gotta like kind of mix it up. So I'm assuming that's gonna be like an old gaudy sort of temple. Now the next one is Underrot. Underrot is actually not in the World of Warcraft lore at all. However, Underrot was done by EverQuest 2, and it had an aesthetic of it being like underground and caverns and stuff, and it was very dark and mysterious and whatnot. I think Underrot is going to be a troll-based dungeon, and I think it's going to deal with the darker themes of what goes on in the Zandalari, and sort of like this dark cult with a dark Loa, or maybe some old god influences. I mean, we have seen old god like creatures, like the red eyeball things that they use, maybe like a dark Loa that's corrupted by an old god. That, I mean, it could be really cool. Now the next one that is really curious is King's Rest. This one I cannot figure out at all. I don't know if it's supposed to be like an assault on Lordaeron, or if it's an assault on something, but I'm trying to think of, like, it's not going to be Horde based, because Hordes have chieftains and whatnot. It's going to be Alliance based, but maybe this is where you can go and you march in and you try to kill, I don't know. It's very curious, because I'm trying to figure out where it's at, but maybe King's Rest is like sort of a dungeon where we're taking down Jaina's mother. Maybe, because, like, it makes sense that that's where, like, he died or whatnot. It's just, I don't know. King's Rest, but there's so many different names and so many speculations. As time goes on, we'll try to figure that out. And then the last one is the one I really wanted to talk about, because Kazan. Now, some people might be like, well, what the hell is that? Think about it real quick. If you guys have ever played Goblins, you actually go to Kazan. Kazan is actually one of the questing zones. It's a tropical island and homeland of the goblins, so it looks like you guys are going to be trying to come back. Basically, it looks like you're going to be trying to march back in and take it back to the city or whatnot. Maybe it's overrun by pirates. Maybe you're just trying to take it back for yourself. Maybe Galliowix will actually come back and actually try to fight in the fold. I'm very curious to see about that. Like I said, there are no pictures for any of these, and I apologize to hit my screen, but there's no pictures for any of these whatsoever. Which kind of sucks, because I love actually knowing about all the different dungeons and whatnot, but they are still developing them. But Kazan seems like it's going to be another zone that we're trying to get back, so maybe we can get those sort of hobgoblin models or whatnot. They have mentioned that there's going to be other sub-races, so what I've been looking at is I've been looking at each of these and trying to understand what they could do. So maybe we get a hobgoblin sub-race, which would be awesome. But anyway, I'm just speculating at this point and rambling, but I just wanted to show you guys all the dungeons. Be sure in the comments below to tell me what you guys think about these dungeons, what your opinions are, speculations, whatnot. I love reading that stuff. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout for more videos. I am posting these as I watch the virtual ticket right now. So I am just scrambling right now to make these videos for you. I know that many of you guys don't have the virtual ticket, and I'm trying to do my best to help you guys out. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.